Okay, so this is just a quick little video as promised of the top 5 Masque Milanos. Now, this has actually got more complicated than I thought it would, because obviously I keep on wearing them. I've enjoyed them. First of all, getting it down to a top 5 was very difficult, and then there's an honourable mention which you'll see in a minute. But it's not a top 5. It's 5, but the top 3 I'm stuck with. Um, Obviously I was hoping I'd have a bottle, but you know life gets in the way sometimes. But I'm glad I didn't rush out and buy the bottle, because really I'm now stuck between the 3 of them, which is typical as it happens. But you shall see. Um, Obviously, if you've tried this range, I don't know if they are a surprise. What will be in my top 3, if you like, because well, you'll see. Anyway, to the video. So obviously, being brief, there could have been a few that were in this honourable mention, such as Monte Cristo, which I really adore, but again that probably isn't in this for the same reason this one isn't in it, and that is Lost Alice. Beautiful fragrance. It is that tea party kind of thing. It's that kind of gourmandy carrot cake and tea, and it is beautiful and it's very warm, and I do like it an awful lot. But again, when you do things like this, you have to think, when would I wear it? It's not too gourmand that it's unwearable as a perfume, but maybe for me it is. I do like my gourmands, but I don't like them too gourmandy. And I'm not saying it's too good, but you get what I mean. Just doesn't perhaps come off me too much like a perfume. But it is a brilliant fragrance, and I had to kind of put it in here, and it is a very clever concept as well as being beautiful. It's a very clever concept. So yeah, my honourable mention is Lost Alice. It should it should have been in the top 5, but it wasn't for them reasons. Okay. So number 5 is quite yeah, it's a difficult one for me, because I think I'd own all of these 5, but you have to kind of put I'm not a millionaire. You have to be sensible, don't you? And it's probably my favourite, if not my second favourite or third favourite, maybe my favourite, from the Smurfy Girl, the sniff-off thing that was done, and it's Dolceaqua. Now, Dolceaqua to me, it's one you'd expect me to like. It's lilies, it's ylang ylang mimosa. It's a very kind of petally fragrance, but also it's got this beautiful breeze over it. It's quite simplistic. It's not over the top. It's there's musks and saffron that give it a bit of an edge, but it is more of this kind of creamier, beautiful floral, and it does get more depth as it goes on. The benzoin and everything gives it a nice little base, and it gets a touch of greenness along with all the colours. It's very, very beautiful, and I do love it. But again, when we decide with these sorts of things, we have to kind of think, do I have things that are similar to it? A little bit. And it's very something that I've got a lot of. So I'll keep it brief again. Dolceaqua is down here, but like I say, I would want to own all 5 really. So at number 5 is Dolceaqua. Now this one we're gonna call Romanza is next, and again this could be one that potentially could have been right up there. But the thing is, when would I wear? This is another one. When would I wear it? I have to be realistic again. It's beautiful. It's got, obviously we all know I'm a massive Narcissus fan, and this is what this fragrance ultimately kind of champions is beautiful Narcissus. And if you look at the scenery and that, this kind of perfectly fits this one. It's like daffodils in spring in Britain to me. It's got this kind of, I think it's the absinthe giving it this kind of damper smell, damper earthy smell, like that dark licoricey kind of feel as it develops. And it's like a British spring day. It's like the dark earth, moist from the rain, and it's got quite a bit of patchouli that comes out later on. and it just makes the most of the narcissus. It's that greenness, that yellowness, it's got a bit of sweetness, so it kind of, for me, I think it kind of covers all the, well, not all the different types of narcissus, but both the kind of brighter yellowy daffodils as well as the kind of greener, more kind of purer narcissus flowers. And it's just absolutely gorgeous, and it has this, I'm saying it's got that dampness about it, that damp earth, but it's also quite got the dryness from the actual flowers. And again, as it develops further and further on, it gets greener, like, you know, like the grass is growing, like spring is actually it's going through the season. With the vetiver, gives it this nice greenness as well, and obviously it'll be the absinthe again with that kind of dark green, like very luscious fresh grass coming through, if you get what I mean, after the rains and the sun. And it's just a beautiful, it's probably the, how do I word it, like the cleverest of the fragrances. It's wonderful, and that's Romanza at number 4. Now, of course, remember these are in no order, and this is probably the, not a surprise, but it's the least like any of the others in the list, and that's Mandala, or Mandala, or however you may say it. Now, this is an incense one, and I'm one of these people who, incense is a love or a hate for me. It can be too much, too sharp, too peppery. But I've discovered I kind of do like the kind of fresher incenses, and this is where this one definitely fits. It's the frankincense is quite a bright note. It's quite a lovely kind of sweeter, more resinous feel. It's that style of frankincense, and there's the nutmeg and there's the spices, and the cardamon's quite prominent, especially in the beginning. And the way the cardamom, I don't know if there is ginger in this, I can't remember, but it kind of gives this Jack Daniels and ginger beer kind of feel. It's very fresh, it's almost fizzy. The cloves and the angelica kind of add that kind of a bit of a darker richness to it under it all. The spices just add a warmth. Yeah, it's still ethereal, it's still light, still quite transportative. I think I'd kind of described it as an open temple, you know, like an ancient Greek temple with the cool marble and the air running through all the sides with the incense, you know, like a warm night sat in the Acropolis, you know, under a red peaceful sky, just sat there with the gods basically. And then it does kind of turn into a kind of steamy Roman baths, a kind of relaxing. It kind of fills up like there's a warm steam in the air. There's touches of fruitiness in it, as we all know. I love my plum and that, and it is one of the most magnificent incense fragrances I've smelt. So that's Mandala. Next is, of course, this is the least surprise to anyone, and again I absolutely adored this in the Smurfy girly kind of live thing as well, and that's Petra. Now, do I love this so much because it reminds me, and it undoubtedly reminds me of Coco Mademoiselle. It does have that, very much that vibe of it, and again, if you know me, I don't much like Chanel's, but I love Coco Mademoiselle. This, however, is Coco Mademoiselle, but better. In fact, it doesn't really smell like Coco Mademoiselle. It's just got that kind of, that orangey, kind of patchouli, citrusy thing that Chanel do. But it's more than that. It's much more than that. It's got this kind of juicy fruitiness about it. It's got so much depth. It's got so much warmth. It's so much smoother. The patchouli is not rough like it is. I'm not saying it's rough in Coco Mademoiselle, but you know what I mean. You can kind of tell that it's there. This is just smooth, beautiful, warm, rich, and the juiciness of the fruits in it. It's just magnificent, and it does have that slight chocolatiness from the patchouli, but it's not too much. There's not much to say about this one really, apart from it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's magnificent, right up my street. And again, this sits with these three where I just don't know which one to go for. Have I got things like this? I do indeed. But it's absolutely gorgeous. So that is Petra. And finally, this is the one that I'm kind of was my favourite, but is my favourite, but I like the others just as much kind of one. And this is Ray-flection. Now the way obviously Romanza was the Narcissus one. This is the Mimosa one. Well, this is Mimosa like you've never smelt before, basically. It opens kind of fizzy with the aldehydes, cardamom, bright. The opening isn't my favourite, and it is very bright, and it is very kind of wow in your face, like almost fluorescent. Then it kind of develops a bit more, and what it kind of reminds me of, I think I described it as like a fizzy stream, like a carbonated, iridescent kind of almost, you know, like a stream that's got radon or, you know, uranium in it. It's so bright, so colourful. And there's a violet leaf in it as well, which makes it bright and spicy. There's some beeswax in it that eventually kind of comes through and develops and makes it very edible. You want to bite it. All these colours, all these bright, fizzy colours. This wouldn't normally be my cup of tea, but something about it that's just so wonderful. The mimosa kind of does go on that. It has its dry, typical mimosa-y qualities, but it also is almost fruity and blindingly bright. The way I think, again, I kind of described it is, people say like an alien mimosa, an alien flower. To me, it's like a rave with all the noxious, colourful, wonderful chemicals that make you have a good time, don't take drugs, kind of feeling, and all the lights, the spotlights, the glowing round you, the lasers, you know, all that sorts of colours. And I just look, such a bright, happy, wonderful fragrance. And mimosa done in a way you've never smelt, and so wonderfully. So that's Ray-flection. So obviously that's kind of my top 5. I think because of the struggle of picking which one is the best, it's obviously going to take me a bit longer. It would have been nice to go, aha, I picked this one and flash off the bottle, but it's going to take me a bit longer. And the truth is, I love them all. Don't get me wrong, I do love them. But having smelt the Milano Fragranze ones, the different line from the same guys, La Prima, which isn't a spoiler because it's the only one left with them posts, I'm so in love with that fragrance. I think that will be the next one I get, and then I will get one of these. And I think it's been kind of good, that, in a way, because I've been on a very long no-buy, that I want the next one to be super special. Not that these aren't super special, but none of them have had the same sort of impact on me as La Prima did. But obviously, it's not a matter of... I will buy more than one of them. But obviously the first one we get for the house, we want it to be kind of special and memory, because that's the first one we bought. I suppose in the end, the first one we buy from a house isn't always necessarily ends up being our favourite forever, does it? Because our tastes change and adapt, etc. But that's the end of this video. Kept it brief, hopefully fit it all in, or there's going to be some editing and speeding up going on. What about you? What's your favourite from the Masque Milano line? Have you found, one of the things I think I've found with this house particularly is, I've gone for things that aren't my normal taste. I've gone for things that, all these bright, beautiful kind of ones, fruity ones, just bright, happy ones, wouldn't necessarily be anything I'd normally go for. Thank you. Yes.